What if the main space of a new residential project wasn't a pool or a restaurant, but a library with 10,000 books? This is the exact idea behind the archive, a new project by Imtiaz.
Yeah, it's honestly a concept that completely flips the script on what we expect from a premium development these days.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to, well, thoroughly explore this project because it really fundamentally rethinks how modern living spaces are designed, challenging the whole status quo of residential real estate.
Definitely. And looking at the stack of sources we have for today, it points to a building that is absolutely not designed for the masses seeking, like, nonstop entertainment.
Right.
It's built for those who value quiet, who prioritize focus, and who are really looking for a highly conscious, intentional way of living.
So let's unpack this, because before we even look at the floor plans or the amenities, we really need to understand the mind of the developer here.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, why build a library instead of a standard clubhouse?
Well, to understand that pivot, we have to look at Imtiaz as a developer, and specifically at what they just accomplished.
Right, their recent track record.
Exactly. If you follow the real estate market at all, you definitely know them from their recent massive success with the Raw District project.
Oh yeah, Raw District made a huge impact. We have this very specific high-energy, industrial, almost extroverted vibe to it.
It really did.
And the market absolutely devoured it. I mean, it was a massive hit.
It was. And typically in this business, when a developer has a massive hit like that, the immediate instinct is to franchise it.
Right, just copy and paste the formula.
Exactly. Raw District 2, Raw District 3, just keep riding that wave.
Totally makes sense financially.
But what is so fascinating about the archive is that Imtiaz is introducing a completely different product aimed at a totally different audience.
It's a huge shift.
It shows a remarkable level of confidence, honestly, to pivot from a high-energy success to a project where the central philosophy is just a life well-read.
A life well-read.
Yeah.
When you first hear that, it's pretty easy to dismiss it as just a clever marketing slogan.
Oh, for sure. Like just another tagline slapped on a brochure to sell apartments.
Exactly. But looking at the structural plans, this concept actually serves as the architectural spine of the entire building.
It really does. It completely dictates the physical layout. I mean, we live in an era of constant digital noise, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
Our attention is arguably the most commodified resource on the planet. Every app, every billboard, every screen, it's all fighting for just a fraction of your focus.
Always buzzing.
Yeah. And the archive is built physically and conceptually as a sanctuary from that noise.
I love that word, sanctuary.
It's for the demographic that, stays up reading past midnight. The people who prefer to go deeply into one thing rather than just skimming briefly across 100 different things.
I think about it kind of like the film industry.
Okay, how so?
Well, typical luxury real estate right now is essentially a summer blockbuster action movie. High energy, flashing lights, massive explosions of amenities, the infinity pools, the loud DJ lounges.
Right.
It's all trying to grab your attention every single second. But the archive is more like a beautifully paced indie film or, a classic leather-bound novel.
That is a great analogy.
It doesn't scream for your attention. It actually requires you to slow down and physically engage with your surroundings.
And that distinction is crucial because the blockbuster demands that you just sit back and be passively entertained.
Exactly. You just consume it.
Right. But the classic novel requires cognitive engagement. And that is a totally different type of luxury.
A completely different mindset.
For decades, luxury in real estate was defined by physical convenience, right? Like, how many pools do we have? How fast is the elevator? How much glossy marble can we possibly cram into the lobby?
Performing architecture, yeah.
Exactly. But now, for a certain type of professional, the ultimate luxury is cognitive space. The luxury of just not being interrupted.
Okay, so let's get into the physical anatomy of the building then. Because how does an abstract philosophy like a life well-read actually translate into concrete, glass, and shared spaces?
Right. How does it go from idea to reality?
Yeah, because it's one thing to have a cool conceptual idea, but it's another to actually live inside it every single day.
Well, it translates into the literal layout of the building, starting right at the entrance. Like, when you walk into the archive, you aren't greeted by a noisy lounge or, a busy barista station with blaring music.
Which is what you see everywhere else.
Everywhere. Instead, you come home through a 2-story library.
2 stories, yeah.
It holds 10,000 books, and the whole space is connected by this striking, beautifully crafted spiral staircase. The library completely replaces the traditional lobby as the social center of gravity for the residents.
Just picture that transition for a second for you listening right now.
Yeah.
You've been out in the city all day, you're navigating traffic, taking high-stress meetings, dealing with 100 emails.
It's exhausting.
You walk through the front doors, and instead of hearing the clinking of glasses or generic lobby pop music, you are met with the sight of 10,000 book spines, warm lighting, and, that very specific, comforting, acoustic quiet of a library.
Oh, it's visceral.
It has to instantly change your heart rate.
It literally physically changes your physiology. I mean, a well-designed library absorbs sound, it smells different, it sets an immediate physical boundary between the chaos of the outside world and the sanctity of your home.
The buffer zone.
Exactly. But the library is really just the foundational layer here. Imtiaz has designed highly specific subspaces too, like the writer's room.
Okay. I found the concept of the writer's room incredibly striking when reviewing the sources.
It's so unique.
The design notes mention it features a desk, a proper chair, a door that closes securely, and absolutely nothing else asking for your attention.
Nothing else.
A door that closes properly. That is such a highly specific, evocative detail for an amenity in a residential building.
It is, and it's because it speaks to a very deep human need that modern architecture, frankly, just often ignores entirely.
How do you mean?
Well, over the last 20 years, the trend has been open plan everything.
Right.
Open plan offices, open plan living rooms, open plan lobbies.
Yeah, break down all the walls.
Right. And while that creates a sense of visual space, it completely destroys privacy. Not every thought needs an audience.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
The writer's room is built for thoughts that belong only to you. In a hyper-connected world, a room with a heavy door that shuts out the world is, honestly, the ultimate luxury.
Exactly. And I imagine some residents will just go in there to read a difficult chapter or maybe to prep for a major presentation without their kids running around the apartment.
Yeah.
But the environment is designed so intentionally that a few residents might actually finally sit down and write something of their own. It provides the literal physical scaffolding required for deep cognitive work.
Yeah, it really does. And for those who don't want to be completely isolated, there's also the reading lounge.
Okay, tell me about that.
This space is specifically designed for solitude, or perhaps a company of 1 or 2 people at most. But crucially, it's placed directly adjacent to the main library so that books don't have to be carried far.
Which is brilliant because it removes the friction.
Exactly.
If you have to walk across a massive complex, take 2 elevators, and navigate a crowded courtyard just to find a quiet place to read, you probably just won't do it. You'll pull out your phone instead and doom scroll.
You'll absolutely just pull out your phone. Good architecture removes the friction between the habit you want to build and the action required to do it.
That makes total sense.
And this philosophy, it extends into the interior design of the apartments and the hallways as well. The guiding aesthetic principle here is depth over noise.
Let's unpack that. What does depth over noise actually look like when you're physically standing in the hallway or inside your apartment?
It really comes down to materiality and intent. Typical luxury spaces often feel like a stage set.
Yeah, very theatrical.
Very. The design uses highly reflective surfaces. Glossy marble, mirrors, bright gold accents everywhere. It's what architects call performing architecture.
Performing architecture.
Yeah, you are supposed to perform your wealth or your success in that space. It's built for Instagram.
Right, it's meant to be seen.
But the archive utilizes warm textures, matte finishes, quiet corners, and acoustic dampening. There's this brilliant operating principle for the interior. Nothing here performs.
Nothing here performs. Man, that is so countercultural for premium real estate right now.
It really is. The architecture is designed to ask absolutely nothing of you. It doesn't demand you look at it. It physically shapes a lifestyle that promotes slow living.
Just letting you exist in the space.
Right. It's an environment that encourages you to just be, to think, and to focus, rather than constantly feeling like you are on display.
Okay, let me push back a little here because this raises an important question about isolation.
Okay, go ahead.
If someone is buying into a project specifically because they want a quiet, secluded life, a place with a writer's room and non-performing architecture, does that mean they just want to be totally cut off?
Well,
Because the archive is located in the Dubai Land Residence Complex, or DLRC, and right at the door is Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Road.
yes.
So why would a resident seeking a cognitive sanctuary care about being so hyper-connected to the city's major noisy arteries?
It's a very valid question, but we have to fundamentally understand who this target audience actually is.
Okay, who are they?
They are not looking to become hermits in the desert. The people drawn to this are modern professionals, thinkers, creators, and entrepreneurs.
They're still working.
Very much so. They are highly active, ambitious participants in the modern economy.
Right, so they aren't retreating from the world entirely. They're just seeking a better place to recharge from it.
Precisely. They still need to easily plug into the city's energy. They need to take high-stakes meetings in downtown Dubai, and they need to catch international flights from the airport on a regular basis.
Which means location is still everything.
Absolutely. And because of the DLRC location and that immediate access to Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Road, both downtown and the airport are just a 20-minute drive away.
Oh, wow. That is close.
Right. The concept here is that a library is only as useful as its reach.
I like that.
You need to be able to dive into the chaos of the city to gather your ideas and then effortlessly retreat back to your quiet haven to actually process them.
That balance makes perfect sense. You can't have output without input, and you can't have meaningful connection without reflection.
Exactly. And if you look at the immediate infrastructure surrounding the DLRC, it reflects that exact intellectual balance.
What's nearby?
Just a short drive away, you have the Mohammed bin Rashid Library, which is actually the largest library in the entire region.
Oh, wow. So there is this beautiful thematic synergy of living in a building with a 10,000 book collection just down the road from the city's ultimate monument to literature.
For someone who loves to read, that is a serious geographic advantage. It's basically an entire intellectual corridor.
That's fascinating.
Furthermore, you have Dubai Academic City right nearby. That is the educational hub where the next generation of thinkers is being taught.
So the whole area has this academic, intellectual weight to it.
It does. You have the zones where the city designs its ideas right on your doorstep. But, recognizing that life isn't strictly academic, the location also puts you incredibly close to major entertainment and cultural hubs.
Like what?
Places like IMG World and Global Village.
Okay, so you still have the fun stuff nearby.
Exactly. The strategic point Imtiaz is making with this location is that the archive isn't exiled to the edge of the city. It is in the middle of everything worth reaching, but the architecture allows you to close a heavy door on all of it the second you choose to.
All right, so for you listening right now, maybe you're sitting in a noisy apartment hearing the traffic or your loud neighbors, and you are totally captivated by the idea of that spiral staircase and the hushed quiet of a 10,000 book library.
It sounds pretty good right now, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
But how do the practicalities actually work? Let's talk about the tangibles. The apartment formats, the pricing, and the underlying investment logic.
Sure, let's break down the exact numbers. The archive is offering a very well thought out range of apartment formats to suit different needs.
Where does it start?
Starting with the studios, these are sized at 360 square feet, and the pricing starts from 666,000 AED.
Okay, 666K AED for a studio. I mean, that feels like a very accessible entry point for a young professional.
Not very accessible.
Or even someone who lives further out but just wants a quiet intellectual pied-à-terre in the city during the work week.
Exactly, a weekday sanctuary.
What about the larger formats?
The one-bedroom units start at 979,000 AED, offering roughly 600 square feet of space.
Okay.
From there, we move to the two bedrooms, which start from 1.55 million AED at 1,035 square feet.
So breaking that 1.5 million mark for the two beds.
Yes, and finally, for those needing substantial space, the three-bedroom units start at 1.9 million AED, giving you a very spacious 1,314 square feet.
So there really is a full spectrum here. A single creator can find their focus in a studio, but a family who wants to actively cultivate, culture of reading and slow living for their children can comfortably fit into a three-bedroom.
Absolutely. It scales to the lifestyle.
What is the current timeline for someone looking to get involved?
Right now, the project is at a highly advantageous early stage. They are currently collecting what's known as an EOI, or expression of interest.
Okay, and when is it supposed to be finished?
The targeted completion and handover date for the building is Q3 2028.
Got it. Now, for those who might not be super familiar with real estate jargon, the EOI phase is essentially raising your hand and saying, hey, I want to be first in line to look at the inventory before this officially launches to the wider public. Correct.
That's right. Submitting an EOI gives buyers priority access to the best selection of units and, crucially, the most favorable initial pricing.
Right, before the prices start stepping up.
Exactly. And when it comes to the financial mechanics of actually acquiring a unit, Imtiaz has structured some highly flexible payment plans.
What do those look like?
Well, they offer a standard 50/50 plan, which means you pay 50% of the costs spread out in installments during the construction phase.
Okay.
And then the final 50% is due upon completion in Q3 2028.
That's a very solid, predictable structure. But there is a second option in our notes that really caught my eye.
Yes, the post-handover plan. They are also offering a 60/40 post-handover payment plan.
Explain how that works.
Under the structure, you pay 60% in installments leading up to the handover, but the remaining 40% of the cost is paid in flexible installments after you have already received the keys.
See, that post-handover structure is a massive game changer for cash flow.
It really is.
It practically means you can move into the unit and stop paying rent somewhere else, or you can put a tenant in the apartment and use their rental income to help pay off that final 40%.
Exactly. It significantly lowers the financial barrier to entry and really eases the burden on the buyer's immediate liquidity.
Okay, so let's take off our literary architectural hats for a second and put on our pure investor hats.
All right, let's do it.
Without making any wild guaranteed promises, because we know real estate always carries variables, right?
Always. There are no absolute guarantees.
Right. But looking strictly at the factual indicators, how does the archive sit within the current market landscape?
Well, if we look strictly at the facts, the investment logic here is incredibly compelling for three specific reasons.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, as we just discussed, getting in at the EOI stage historically offers the most advantageous entry price before the neighborhood fully matures and prices rise.
Right, the early bird advantage.
Second, you have to look at the developer's track record. Imtiaz is coming directly off the massive, highly publicized success of the Raw district.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
They have definitively proven they can conceptualize a totally unique project, execute it at a really high level, and deliver a product that the market actively demands.
Which means the trust equity in the developer is exceptionally high right now. Buyers know they aren't just selling a pretty render. They can actually build the vision.
Precisely. They deliver. And the third factual indicator is the broader location trend.
The DLRC area.
Yes, the DLRC area is currently undergoing significant infrastructure growth and development. Whenever you buy into an expanding master planned community near a major arterial road like Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Road, the natural trajectory is that value is drawn upward as the surrounding neighborhood matures and adds more facilities.
Right, you're buying into the future growth of the whole zone.
Exactly.
But beyond the numbers and the location, I just keep coming back to the concept itself. The real estate market globally, but especially in premium hubs, is just totally saturated with copy-paste luxury towers.
It really is a sea of sameness.
It's just more glass, more marble, another infinity pool on the roof.
Yeah. And that is exactly where the archive holds its most potent advantage. When a market is saturated with identical products, uniqueness actually transforms into a highly tangible financial asset.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to frame it.
A building conceptualized entirely around a library, intentionally designed for quiet and intellectual focus, inherently stands out. It targets a very specific, underserved demographic of professionals who are just exhausted by the noise.
They want an escape.
So while we never promise guaranteed yields or guaranteed growth, when you combine a unique asset in a growing area built by a proven developer, you have the classic trifecta for a remarkably strong real estate proposition.
The fundamentals are just rock solid.
Right. The archive doesn't have to fight for attention against 100 other identical luxury buildings simply because there is nothing else quite like it currently on the market.
It's the difference between trying to shout the loudest in a crowded, noisy room and just, quietly walking into a different room altogether.
That is the perfect way to summarize exactly what Imtiaz has achieved here.
So, to bring all of this together for you listening, the Archives by Imtiaz is a prime example of how modern real estate is actively evolving.
Absolutely.
It proves that a building can be more than just a collection of upscale amenities. It can actually be built around a specific intellectual idea.
Yeah, a true philosophy.
It caters to people who value intellect, calm, and inspiring atmospheres just as much as they value premium finishes. It represents a brilliant pivot from the fast-paced energy of their previous Raw District project, offering a true sanctuary centered around a 10,000-book library.
It really is a sanctuary.
And it is perfectly positioned in the DLRC for seamless city connectivity. Plus, with the current EOI phase and those flexible payment plans, it sits at a highly accessible early investment stage.
It fundamentally redefines what we consider a luxury amenity today. In our current digital age, Peace, quiet, and focus are the ultimate luxuries.
They really are.
And the underlying philosophy of this project leaves us with one particularly striking thought that captures this entire ethos perfectly. A life is measured not in square feet, but in what you have taken the time to understand.
Wow. Not in square feet, but in what you have taken the time to understand.
Yeah.
That completely shifts how you value your time and your space.
It really does. So I would encourage you to look around your own current living space right now.
Take a good look.
Does your environment constantly demand your attention with noise, clutter, and screens? Or does it invite you to sit down, focus, and finally finish that chapter?